One of the most overlooked side effects of the development of monotheism is its role in solidifying what we call linear thinking. Remember, prior to linear thinking, most people the world over thought circularly. Time passed in cycles, life and death were mere parts of revolving processes, interaction with the environment was reciprocal, and social organization was about we over me. The development of linear thinking didn't destroy these attributes overnight, but their erosion and subversion over the last few millennia is quite apparent. So, what's the relationship between belief in one God and linear thinking? Well, to begin, there's the major change in how people are socialized into thinking about time. From Zoroastrianism to Judaism to Christianity to Islam, the foundational narratives of each propose that there was, in fact, a beginning, often abrupt, a singular path one must follow, and an end one hopes to achieve salvation in an afterlife. While the idea of an afterlife certainly predates these religions, some things are quite different. This afterlife is the completion of a journey, not the continuation of one. Everything done on earth becomes irrelevant. Other belief systems instead kept some reciprocity between the temporal and spiritual realms, or in some cases, started a life cycle anew. Further driving home the idea of a beginning and an end was the evolution of apocalyptic conclusions to everything, most famously, of course, Revelations. In these narratives, Ahura Mazda, Yahweh, God, Allah, whatever one chooses, defeat evil, and the known universe is finished in both individual as well as universal lenses. Time operates in a literal line. The second linear attribute bolstered by monotheism is the import of the individual. Again, this isn't necessarily invented by these religions. For example, the ancient Greeks, polytheists, were arguably among the most individualistic peoples of all times. But monotheism doubles down on individualism by emphasizing the individual's role in the previously mentioned process. Introduction of free will may seem liberating in ways, but it's really not free at all. For if one wants to complete their journey, they must follow a single linear path. Moreover, the path is only the individual's. It's all about my journey to ensure salvation. It's not collective. And the stakes are high. Fail and eternal damnation. Another end awaits. Further, by simplifying everything in the world to either good or evil, monotheism is a main contributor to the manufacture of binary paradigms across time and space. The world is taught as either black or white, and there's no space for gray. And again, the stakes actually dictate the choice is illusory. There's really only one right choice. As an aside, think about what this means for reciprocal relationships to one's environment. If I am leaving on my path, never to return, why bother caring about how my impact on the non human world around me, or how many sources I extract, hoard from others, and so on? I mean, I've been given the title of steward over the environment. No longer am I a part of it. I'm created in God's image. I'm special. And of course, with constant threat of a coming apocalypse, I can absolve myself of personal responsibility towards the earth because it'll be destroyed soon anyway. Now, of course, for the purposes of intellectual honesty, we know this is not what's meant by the holy text in question, and at least some of the speakers on behalf of these belief systems. But what's meant, what's interpreted, and what's twisted to rationalize certain discourses is messy. And merely introducing an anthropocentric foundation offered the opportunity for this, which leads us to the linear attribute of one truth. Zoroastrianism introduced Ahura Mazda as the way, the light, and the truth, and the ensuing three Abrahamic faiths clearly followed this framing. By offering only an illusory choice between subjective notions of good and evil, these belief systems slowly but surely conditioned their followers to think not only of their faith in one way, but everything. And why not? Genesis, for example, quite literally posits that some people are chosen, in other words, right, and everyone else is not. This exceptionalism rationalizes single mindedness. Rather than there being multiple sets of ideals, processes, narratives to share, ways to solve problems, and so on, true believers apply the idea of one truth to everything. And oddly enough, this is a major ideological development, as even non religious ideologies thereafter did the same. Think of how two-party political systems operate, or how modern dominant economic belief systems infect all aspects of how a person operates on a day-to-day basis, without them ever questioning the efficacy, rationale, or even ethics of the way they live their lives. How often have you been taught to believe alternatives to your conditioned political or economic ideologies are not just wrong, but bad, immoral, or evil? Lastly, and as previously mentioned, some of the negative connotations inferred are not unique to these belief systems. Every single ideology, especially the ones that seek to be all encompassing, is susceptible to having its ideals twisted. Narratives cherry picked to rationalize actions that don't align with its ethics, and in some cases, completely misunderstood and applied. You'll see more and more of this as the semester progresses. Additionally, linear thinking in and of itself isn't good or bad per se. To contrast some of the consequences mentioned, one could argue all types of social, scientific, or cultural progress thereafter is linear. Even the word progress infers the hegemony of this way of thinking. What's important, however, is that the introduction of these belief systems, their ideal byproducts, and of course, their evolution over time fundamentally change the way many people since think about things.